Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Executive Dean, graduates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. Thank you earlier to Tom for that spectacular introduction. It means so much to me to be here today and to have the honour of receiving an honorary doctorate. I do have a confession to make, though. After that introduction, you might have an impression of me as this ocean-loving, seafaring woman whose love of the sea made me do what I can to protect it. But actually, I'm not. Well, I kind of am now, but I wasn't 4.5 years ago. In fact, I was scared of the sea. I wouldn't go on it or in it, and you pretty much had to drug me to fly over it, a bit like Mr. T. When I was thinking about what I could possibly say to you today that might be worth remembering, or at least worth listening to, I thought that I'd like to share some of my story with you. Because for one, it's unconventional, and I think in today's over-homogenized culture, we can often think if we haven't found our purpose in life by the time we're 30, then we're doing something wrong. And secondly, becoming a plastic pollution campaigner has as much been about discovering who I am and using my talents for good as it has been saving the seas. And it's shown me in a myriad of beautiful, wild, and sometimes inexplicable ways how changing the world can also change us from the inside out. I didn't set out to be an environmental campaigner. I had no idea when I started campaigning on my own with the crowdfunding campaign around 4.5 years ago that I'd end up leading a team of 13 awesome staff, and we'd be running award-winning national campaigns. And that for the most part, we'd be making it up as we go along, and that would be enough to achieve great things. I was working in TV here in Bristol, and as I said, I didn't swim or sail or surf, and I have another small confession to make. I'm not a marine biologist or a scientist either. In fact, I dropped out of university after 6 weeks when I was 18, and I never went back. So I have a lot of respect for all of you. So how did a university dropout with a fear of the sea end up here? You may rightfully ask. Well, strangely, it's mostly down to an albatross. A bird I've never seen, and until 5 years ago, never realized I had an affinity with. I was on Facebook one day, and a trailer for a film about an albatross popped up on my feed. But the film wasn't about how magnificent these birds are. It was about how their chicks are dying from eating a diet of plastic. The adult albatross swoops down from the sky and scoops up from the sea the fish close to the surface, but it mistakes colorful floating things like plastic bottle top caps, cigarette lighters, and toothbrushes for fish, which they then feed to their chicks. A third of these crazy, beautiful, fluffy chicks are starving to death in their nests with their bellies full of plastic. And when I first saw it for the first time, and every time since, it triggered a pain in me, a grief that I hadn't felt before when witnessing environmental issues caused by humans. And I think it was something for me about seeing the everyday items of plastic that I was using, bottle top caps, my brand of toothbrush, ink cartridges, inside something so beautiful and causing the death of something so beautiful that just woke me up to what I was doing. And I knew in that moment that I just couldn't sit back and let it happen. Now, it definitely sounds cheesy and cliched, but in that moment, something rose up inside me and said, "Not on my watch." I don't know if it had an American accent, but that was the feeling. So from that day, I set about doing something about it. So I'm not going to give you the full details because this day is all about you. If you hadn't all have worked so hard and got here today, I wouldn't be getting an honorary doctorate. But if I could give you anything today, it would be a sense, an excitement even, of your power to change the world, of your ability to do what you love and what you're brilliant at, whilst creating a future that sustains and supports not just us, but all life on Earth. Because this Earth is astonishingly beautiful. And so are we when we give ourselves to each other and do stuff that is inherently good for everyone. I'm not suggesting that you all go out and become environmental campaigners, but I am suggesting you all become ambassadors for nature, whatever you go on to do. Engineers, consultants, scientists, no idea what's nexters, make nature one of your key stakeholders. one of your clients, one of your mentors, one of your most prominent board members, and do what you can to hold the Earth's needs as dear as you would hold the needs of your family. Because there's no doubt that beyond plastics, even if we solve this problem, we've got some tough times ahead with climate breakdown, water scarcity, and overpopulation. And we're going to need bright sparks like you coming up with solutions and more loudmouths like me to bang on about them. And we can have a lot of fun in the process. Because although it may be pain that gives us the motivation to act and change the way we do things, the changes we experience aren't sacrifices. They feel better than what we were doing before. I'm going to give you 3 examples. Switching to reusables instead of single-use plastic is more fun because you get to carry something stylish around with you, you form relationships with your local shopkeepers, you save money, and you feel part of something bigger than yourself. You're part of a community of refillers. Switching to an ethical bank is more fun because you get to see and read real stories about real people who are doing great stuff with your money. It gives you a fuzzy, warm feeling knowing that your money, which is especially pertinent for those of you that are going to go on from here and make a shit ton of it, isn't funding fracking companies or weapons manufacturers. Riding a bike is more fun than going by car, especially if you're going on holiday. You get to the front of the queue on the ferry, you get to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, because you're burning up so many calories, and you actually get to travel along at the same speed as the bees and smell the flowers as you go. I discovered all this stuff for myself and found it to be true, and I invite you all to do the same. The biggest threat to humanity isn't, as you're all probably well aware, an alien invasion or a zombie apocalypse. It's consumerism, it's us, and ultimately, it's in our power to do something about. But I'm not going to tell you to buy less stuff and have less kids. I'm not going to suggest you stop doing anything at all. I'm just going to tell you that in my experience, dedicating my energy and creativity to something bigger than myself changed my life for the better. I stopped being so scared of the sea. I had a strange and unfathomable experience during my first crowdfunding campaign, in which the sea revealed itself to me in my sleep over a series of 9 consecutive dreams. It was as if the moment I tangibly put my energy and focus on the thing I was scared of and did something for it, it reached out back to me and did something for me too. It was incredible. And after that experience, I started enjoying and appreciating the 71% of our planet that is ocean. And change came on the outside too. Since setting up City to Sea and doing the work I do now, I became happier, wealthier, and healthier. And those are 3 things that I wish each of you, as you go forth from here and shine your light out into the world. We need it now more than ever. Thank you.